This is Justin AMZN on Monday, September 30th, 2019. Really nice sell-off for 15 minutes. Put a really large high wave candle, made a new lower low on the day, lower high also. But from there, actually rallied all day. Pretty interesting that we got going bullish here. After taking out the low, that was all the bears really had today to push that lower. There's a couple opportunities that kind of pop out. The main one being, well, getting in as it moves through this support, going bullish. That would have been a quick, buying quickly here, and you would have had to been out of the money a little bit to get in bullish. But if you had waited and had a really small candle right here at 11:15, and then the next candle was a nice push higher through this next pivot and or support resistance line and off the 21. I like this pop a little better than I like this pop or this pop, just because it consolidated. You have the squeeze, but the real key is that you had a bullish engulfing candle. Let me zoom in on the day here. All right, right here, we have a bullish engulfing candle where you had some bears thinking they were going to push it lower. They did, and that was a trap. Pushed up, came back right back down, closed here. 5-minute candle that was really small, really like no volume, 2,345 shares, and making an inside candle and then a really nice pop candle with increased volume again from the previous one, which isn't hard. And from here, I mean, I don't know that you would have been getting it on this candle, probably after it, probably one of these, and would have ridden that up a little bit. I don't know what that did in the options. We'll take a look at that. If you had gotten in, let's say you got in at 11:30 bullish and see what happens there. But then we just grinded sideways. Once it popped here, just grinded sideways, didn't really sell off. And I'm sure a lot of people were thinking it was going to sell off just because it has been. So, ultimately on the day, we had a really nice hammer, actually a great hammer. This is like a textbook hammer. It's bouncing off of two supports. We did that here with this hammer, but it's the size of it. It's really, the body is really half the size of the lower wick, and this one was really similar. This one was a 36.75 range, and this one is 28.24, and really just about in thirds, about every $9. Well, not every $9, but the body is about $9, and then the wick is around $18, and so it's right around a perfect hammer at a potential support. So, well, I mean, it definitely is a support. It's played out as a support with another hammer here. Question is, could we bounce here? Much lower volume than we've had the last few days. A bit of a rest and last day of the month, so it makes sense that we're not going to do something crazy directional here. But it did make a lower high, lower low. The potential is there for it to just rest for a couple days here, but this is a bit of bullishness coming in right here at a support to see, okay, can it pivot here? Can it go higher? And I think we could definitely pull back up, move back up into 1747, retesting the lows here and then roll over. But I think the opportunity is there to push a little bit higher. If we gap up, I think we could fade. But if we continue to push up and get some closes above these bearish candles, come back up into the 21 here, I think we'd roll over and stay below it. Something like this. If we could push up and into the 21 and then roll over, I think the potential is even greater that we could roll back down. Let's see here. Just trying to see what else we've done at this exact level. I mean, this is where we really bounced with that Morningstar reversal on the 5-minute. So this line, I mean, it was a really good resistance here and here and here, and then we've been above it, here and here. Well, once we got going above it here, and we came back into it and bounced. And this one we came back. No, that's the one we came down through and then ultimately bounced. So, it is a level that we've pivoted on before. Probably this was the best place that we actually had it as a pivot, but this is a line we've had, going back to, let's see, was it the high here? No, the high was 1714.50. This one, no, wait, this is 1714.50. Why is it not highlighting? Okay, 17, 14, 15. We just barely pushed below it today on the 5. But yeah, that's what that price is. Okay. So that's been in place for a long time, and I didn't look at the date when I saw that. 17, 14. That was that day. So June 6th last year. But yeah, it's been a good pivot. So it's just a question of, will we pivot there again? Will we bounce here? And have we gone a little more bearish to trap more bears? There were definitely bears selling here and more of them selling here, thinking it's going to go lower, and it didn't. Obviously, there's more here, more volume with the bearish moves here, taking out some the bullish candle low here, showing that we're doing lower lows and lower highs. But I also like this as a retest of a bearish move, because you did a very similar hammer type candle here, inside candle, and then you broke down from that kind of smaller consolidation. This is a retest back into like this candle's range from the 26th, from Thursday. Back into the 5-minute here. Let's see. Let's go look at what could have happened bullish. So right out the gate, you could have been going bearish with puts, because it opened right at 1727.80. And I'm sure some people were trying to go bearish here and then here, and it just continued to push up. Making some higher lows through here, and actually made higher highs as it went. And so it makes sense that people were trying to short it, and why they probably got stopped out. Like this candle was probably stopping out some bears looking to hold below this level. And once that happened, really this all of this pushing up was making kind of a nice little triangle here, until it kind of made this channel. Just sketch this in. Kind of made this channel. I guess I can connect it like that. You can kind of see we were just ping-ponging back and forth, and really we just did that for probably the better part of the day, until we ultimately broke out of it. Let's see if I can draw it. There we go. So we really just ping-ponged here. We got into this about 20 minutes into the day, and then stayed in that. Oh, it's not going to show it. I'm going to zoom out. Stayed in that probably till, no, come on. It needs something higher. There we go. Did that. I just need to have it on the screen. There we go. Till about here, and then it broke down out of it, about 150. And then it didn't just break down, it just went sideways. And what's interesting is this line's in play again. So, all right. So that's a nice little channel all day, but to actually trade it, it was just a little more challenging to do that. Going back and forth, especially on a Monday. On a Friday, it'd be easier to do, buying calls at a low, buying puts at a high, and flipping them out at the other end. So let's say you got into puts right out the gate, you would have been buying right around 11, almost 10. This is the 1700 puts, expiring Friday. This would have been tough on a 5-minute to get in the right price here. If you had a wider risk, maybe you could have done like 12 by 10, but yeah, $100 risk, that would have been really hard to do. And then once it got up here, it just lost premium all day long, and then just went sideways. So let's look at calls. Let's look particularly at the area in here, see what the option is doing. So 11.15 on the call. So this is the 1750 call. That was making a really small candle. So I like that. And then I guess maybe you could have had an 8x7 set up, but probably not. You're probably waiting for this, and it didn't really pull back very far. With this already pushing up into the next dollar range, maybe you had 850 by 750. That just would have been really tight on the low. But then 850, I guess it technically made it up to 1050, but it probably would have been easier just to scalp an R as it moved up. So getting in at 850 and out at 950, maybe out at 10. You don't really see that uptrend channel I just drew. You see really the lows. So that was probably the other thing that you could have done. So I already deleted it here. Now let's just do the bottom edge. So once you could kind of establish, you know, connecting some lows, so here, and I guess some of these, and this one too, and then the highs. Once you could connect those, you could look for buying at kind of a flat level here, and that was around 750. So this is where I was saying, you know, on a Friday it's cheaper and it moves better, but on a Monday, you know, it's the same price through here. So right around 750, you would have really had to be buying at like 775 and a stop down at, well, maybe your stop could have been tighter. Let's say you bought at 775 and a stop at 725. You get into two and you can flip it out at 875, and that's 2R. So that could have worked. You could have been buying down here and selling up here. Um, maybe you didn't know what was happening in the first one, and you were doing it the second one here. So once, twice, three times, each time for an R. So that's 3R. Let's see what the puts were doing there. I think we're in the wrong puts. Yeah, so the puts were losing value and weren't really moving a dollar. I guess they were, but you would have really had been right in the low. So this buying at 10, out at 11, buying at 9. No, it didn't get up to 10. So it was harder to do with the 1700 put. Maybe 1725 put. That would have been more expensive. I just don't like that you're buying a low and you're buying lower as it's moving against you. I think I'd rather stay with the calls. This is getting more expensive. So you could have been buying at like 18 and getting out at 19, 18 to 19, 18 to 20, something like that. 18 to 19. Yeah, 17 to 18 didn't quite work. So it's a little harder to do that as it's moving against you. But it looked like there were some levels here. But you know, just kind of an interesting Monday to wrap up a month and start a new week and show some signs of bullishness coming in. But just give us some interesting levels on the options. So if we look back in here, let me get rid of this line now. Get rid of that. Go. From here, this kind of looks like a double bottom. You know, with the lower low here, trapping some folks, and we've already gotten above what would be the after hours or pre-market neckline sort of thing. And then we were tested back to that level, and now we're continuing up. So if you do some kind of a measured move, you're at like 1735 down to 1710. So that's about 25. So if you go up from 1735 by 25, you're up at like 1760. So it could move up to there. That could work. I'd really like it to hold below 1747. I want another retest of that, and that'd be it for the bullishness, and then roll back down. Yeah, I think I'm seeing some downtrend coming in. Strong tool like this from here. It's a little too steep, I guess, because we're not quite there. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to use that high. Oops. I have to be lower. I'm not sure where to be lower. Maybe this range? No. Well, maybe that range and then that one poked above. Okay, so if you grab that high and ignore that one and then line up with this one and this one, then you're pushing through this one again. So we've had this pretty clear downtrend here, but now we're not making as large of a move bearish. Like this big move and then push lower and came right back up. And then this big move didn't move as much. And then, you know, we were initially making a low here and then pushed further here and then pushed through it here. But now we're not making the lows as far. Now you're getting a move from, looked like it was 1771, right, down to 1730, 31, maybe $40 move. So it looks like we kind of exhausted that here. Even from this level, from where we were at here, 1747 down to 1709. So that's still about 40, but it's retraced, and now we're at the point that it's retraced all the way back up to that line. So be interesting to see if we can move up a little bit more and get above it and show some signs of strength, and then to see what bears are going to do. Will bears short it from there? Will bulls overpower and continue to push it up? Aside from the opening 15 minutes, or at least the opening 10 minutes, you really had more bulls coming in. It just gently grinded higher, and just not too much happening, other than just some consolidation in here, and really just a really nice bounce, and just getting in bullish from way down here would have worked nicely. If we look back at 1750 calls, those were harder to get into. I guess this is what's really interesting. So this candle made the low. The high wave candle did not. And you could have really been setting up a trade like 7x6, possibly even like after this candle popped up. This is where you could have been doing like 750 by 650 and maybe gotten filled in here. But that's just what's interesting and kind of strange about how the option traded. This was a dollar range on the option at this price. This was 750, this was 650, or below here was 650. So that was a dollar on the option. It just doesn't seem quite right. Seems like it should move more than that. But it's a Monday. There's a lot of volatility as it opened up, it seems. And then you lost a lot of that premium. Every move up, it pulled back and pulled it back into the same price on the option. So just really interesting to see how the option moved today. And, putting a new low over here, right? So it pulled back. No. So this one, it stayed above this price, even way over here, even though that broke down. Okay, so that's interesting too. So we're no longer making the 750 low. We actually made a low at 850, even though we're way up here and below that uptrend range. So I think the fact that we got above this pivot, and really we're holding nicely above 1725 range, that the 1750 call was not giving back as much of the premium. It got close enough with these highs in here at like 110. Yeah, so at this point, it's still, 1850 is still $12.50 out of the money. So $12.50 out of the money. And then to pull back from there, it's not that far. So it looks like the option is being priced that it should continue into 1747 and probably into 1750. That seems like reasonable to get back up there. It's just a question of, will we hold that? Will we push back up, maybe up to 1763, like the high here? Will we take out these bullish candles? How much strength is actually going to come in? I like these bigger candles. I like that there's more direction than we had, the last, couple weeks before this breakdown here. I just don't know how much strength is going to come back in. So if we can get back up to that level, 1747, it's a good place to look to go bearish. It just might not work. But that shouldn't stop you from setting it up and getting into the trade and just mitigating your risk. If we get back up to 1781, because the 21 is coming down still. If we get up to 1781, that'll be right at the 50% mark. We had gotten into that, was it this day where we sold off to it. So if we could retest to that, that'd just be a nice level to retest to, and probably be really close to the 21 on its way down. From there, that could help hold and stay above. The 21 could stay above the price action in here. But that's a good ways away. That'd be a nice bullish move if it does that. And then this has the potential of looking like it's going to not break down into, bearish head and shoulders here, but it could start to form a shoulder here and a head here, and then another shoulder that'd be in this area and go bullish from here. So I guess we just have to wait and see how it's going to play out. But we'll just continue to look at the charts and see what's going on the 5 and on the daily, and get better at figuring out what we can do to trade it. So I hope this helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.